This session is called the 60-Day Roadmap to Success. And the overview of the program is fairly simple. A few years ago, I was in one of our members' offices, and he said, "Ken, there's so much stuff out there, and I'm hiring people at a fairly decent rate. I don't have time to sit down with them and roll this stuff out." I said, "Well, have you thought about coming up with a calendar inside of your company that you could hand to them and say, okay, now I'll help you through this, but if there's a calendar that'll help you to roll things out, would you be interested in doing that on your own with me just looking over your shoulder to be sure you get it done?" And he said, "Ken, I don't know how to do the calendar." And I said, "That's fair." And so I said, "Tell you what I'll do. I'll go ahead and put together a program that would help somebody that's brand new with Realty Executives. They could be in business for years. It doesn't matter how many years in the business. But to help them to work through a process to where after they finish the process, it starts generating revenue for them." And so we talked about that, and he says, "Okay, let's go ahead and do that." So this is what the 60-Day Roadmap of Success is all about, and I want to show you this slide here. Can you see it all right, Bill? Okay. I'm not picking on the Canadians. But have you ever felt in this business that you're flying through a bunch of stuff? See, all of a sudden there's all these birds out there. And the birds are all the different programs and processes and the things that we have in the business. Whether it's with Realty Executives or whether it's with your local board of realtors or whatever you're doing, that there are a lot of different things out there that get in our way. And sometimes it scares us. Can you imagine what the pilot's thinking, after the airplane went in the Hudson? Oh my gosh, am I going to keep my engines? So I wanted to give you a little bit of a visual on there's a lot of stuff out there and it's okay. So what I'm going to try to do is help you through this to where it makes a little sense for you. So if you'll open your booklet, you'll see in the first page we have what we call program activity. And I want to break it down for you on what I've done. I've broken it into 3 parts. The first part is called foundation. What we need to do is lay down for ourselves a process that is fundamental and sound. And then the next part of it is called passive. Now, those are things we have to do, but it doesn't generate business. That's activity that we have to do. We have to do some things. And that's the passive side of it. And then the third part of it is the active side. And that's where by being active with customers, by being active with people, through that activity, it enables us to generate business. So I've broken it down into 3 parts. Now what I'd like to do is review each of those parts with you. But before I do that, I want you to take a look at this page. Now flip back a couple of pages and you'll see a calendar. Now you notice the calendar is a 12-week calendar, but I say it's a 60-day roadmap to success. And that's because if you take 12 weeks times 5 days, 5 times 12 is 60 days. So it really does go over a 3-month period, but I give you weekends off. Now you don't have to take the weekends off, but what I'm looking at is how do I manage this business as a business? Right? If I'm going to manage it as a business, then I'm going to work what? A 5-day week. Bless you. I don't want to be engaged 6 or 7 days and get burnt out. What I would like to do is have a process that's very stable, very easy. It's very manageable that I can work through day in and day out. It doesn't interfere with what I'm doing, and it helps me to move forward to what I want to achieve. That sound fair? All right, so if you'll take a look at the calendar, you'll notice that the first Monday, the first day, there's 3 things we do. 2 of them are functions, and 1 of them is passive. And then the next day, we have just 1 function to do. So if I've built this to where every day when you get up, you know that you have a job, it's fun. There's some days you wake up and you wonder, well, I don't have anything to do today. I guess I can sleep in, or I'll spend some time watching television, or I'll maybe run some errands, I'll do some other things, because we don't have anything on our calendar. See, this is designed to where, as a business person, we can hit the floor each day with something to do. And that's helpful. As an independent contractor, Pat, can you remember the good old days when we were born, we were managed? The first thing the doctor did was what? Whack us on the fanny and got us to breathe, right? So we were managed from day one when we started out. And then we were managed by what? Our mom and dad until we got old enough to go to school. Then our what? Well, not yet. We had to have the teachers do that, right? We had the teachers do that, Pat. And then if we went off to college, we were sort of unmanaged, and we either made it or we didn't make it. But then we got married, and then all of a sudden the management kicked in again. But all right, now also we go to work, and when we're working for someone else, they're going to manage us. They're going to hold us accountable, and they're going to require certain things of us. And then what happens? We get into real estate. And real estate says what, Bill? You are free to do whatever you want, and I can't tell you by law. So if you want to show up and work, you can. If you don't want to show up and work, that's okay too. Well, what happened to us who are used to being managed and used to having some sort of accountability, we get in an uncontrolled situation where no one's controlling us but ourselves. What happens, Liz? We get a little lax, right? And that's the nature of a business. So I know this is going counter to what we normally think, right? And because maybe we've been operating this way for a while, it could be that to get into a regimen is going to be difficult for us. Because we're used to having that flexibility where we don't have to do anything, and all of a sudden there's a calendar here in front of me and I got to do this. Wow. So this gives me the opportunity then to say, okay, I want to embrace this. I'll do these things. Now guess what? If you do these things for a couple of 3 weeks, every day you follow what's in here, after a while you're going to look forward to it and you'll do it. There's going to be some resistance in the beginning, and that's okay. It's all right if there's some resistance, but after a while, it becomes second nature to you that you can't wait for the next day, and here we go, let's jump in and get going. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. If you would, pull back a second, and let's take a look at the functions. There are 25 of them. And I just want to go through them with you for a minute. And the first one is download to your desktop the cash forecasting model. Now, you find that by going to realtyexecutivesouthernregion.com. And you go to the update page, and would you like me? And up at the top, you'll see the little box called Updates. And you go there. And if you come over here to this side, you'll see Cash Forecasting Model. All right, in here is a full budget. And you notice it's broken down to 4 areas. The first is your business. The second is your home expenses primary. The third is your home expenses secondary. And the fourth one is profit. And a lot of times in this business, we don't factor in profitability. What we look at is, gee, I hope I just make enough money to make ends meet. But this allows you to not only build in the expense side on your business, but you can also build it in on your home expenses primary, home expenses secondary, and then investment and profits. And you can see there's a whole list of things there, including what Glenn talked about earlier this morning. And here's a sample of one filled in. And I don't want to scare you, but this one you require a lot of business to make ends meet. You'll notice here on the bottom that based on everything that they're spending monthly, they have to raise $191,000 to pay their budget. Now this is a real estate agent doing their business. Now if they have a spouse that's working or have the other income, of course it's not all required through real estate. It can be required through other things. But what I'm asking you to do to get started, let's find out what we have to do to meet our expenses. So we're starting from the very beginning, the very basics. Right? The cash forecasting model. This is looking at an agent that has collectively just a little over $1 million in listings. So in the villages, if the average sales price is what, $180,000 or whatever it is, that'd be about 5 listings. So if you're carrying 5 listings, and let's say the list price to sales price, they take off 6% off the top, which means it sells for 94%. And then you drop on down, so the actual sales value is just under $1 million, but only 62% of the listings are selling. It could be in your market, it could be 80%, it could be 90%. Right now it's really hot, so just about everything is selling. But based on your real market, what percentage are selling shows you what is saleable inventory. You look at the commission. The commission here is 3.15% because some people are charging 6 or 6.5, sometimes 6.75%. It's not fixed, it varies because the seller is saying, I'm willing to pay you extra money to do extra marketing. So the inventory comes down to where if you sell that inventory off, you make just under $20,000. But you have to figure out, okay, that's in one turn of business. How many turns a year do I do? Well, right now the days in the market for this example is 144 days. So you divide 144 into 365 and you come up with 2.535 turns in a year. So that takes that just under 20,000, it raises it to 50,000. But not all my money comes from my listings. Some of my money comes from buyers. And since 68% of my money comes from listings, the formula divides 68% into 49,000. I come up with $72,000 based on a $200,000 average sales price. But how much did I need to make my budget? It was $191,000, right? So the other formula that's here, how many listings you need to carry in order to make that $191,000. Now this is based on the process of taking anywhere, any listing, anywhere, at any price, at any condition, at any commission. When I teach this course on how to manage your business as a business, as an agent, what I show you is how much more money you can make with the same inventory if you begin to manage that inventory. So I can either run with 14 listings. What if I get a greater percentage of my listings to sell? Then that number goes down even further. As I begin to manage my inventory properly, you know what Walmart does? They take a look at a square foot and they look and see what's on that square foot, and if we don't get a certain return out of that square foot, what do? They change out the product, put a different product in there and manage that, right? We need to be looking at that as realtors too. We need to be looking at what we're doing and saying, is the product I'm carrying the right product? Am I just taking that listing because I need one? Or am I really grabbing a particular listing because I know that listing is going to sell because we staged it? What if we help, like you were talking about, with estate sales, you're staging the property so it's more attractive. You're going in and you're doing a special work on that, Debbie, so that that property is more competitive than the other properties in the marketplace. That does what? Shortens the days on the market, gets you a higher sales price, gets a customer in there sooner, and you probably don't have as much negotiating down on that property. Instead of negotiating 6, they may negotiate 3. So all that fits together to help me to make more money. So what this program does is, to get started, I got to know where I am and I got to know where I'm going to go. Jared, does this make sense? Sort of? Yeah, it does. Yeah. So that's why I want you to start with this one piece. Well, the place you go to get it is RealtyExecutiveSouthernRegion.com. Go to Update. Over in the corner, you click on Cash Forecasting. You download that to your hard drive, set it right on the desktop, and begin to load the data in. And to get to know where you are, you got to load in what? What your expenses are a month, right, Pat? And Jim, after you get that done, then you got to forecast based on the inventory I've got right now. What's it going to earn me? And I'm looking at my outgo, I'm looking at my income, and it doesn't match. All right, so then the other formula does what? Shows you how many listings you need to carry in order to meet that. And that income had what in it? Profit? See, in that $191,000 I showed you earlier, there was a chunk in there that was for investment and for reserves and for cash and so on. So that one little statement, F1, that little foundation is so important because without that, you can't build your business. It's kind of, you know, you're building a wall, you need a what? A cornerstone. This is the cornerstone of the building of that business, is that one little piece. Is that making sense for you? Okay, then we take a look at the cash forecasting model, and that's where I went through those particular areas. F2, you do this with it. F3, you do that with it. And so we spread it over what? 3 different days that you begin to collect data, load data in, and then begin to find out what it is and what you need. So that's in the calendar. If you look, you see F1 starts out on what? Monday. And then you look at the calendar and say, okay, where's F2? And you'll see where that is. And where's F3? And you see where that is. And then you go back in and see this. Now, by the way, I've not only given you the different functions, but I've given you a page that says, okay, here's Monday, here's F1, F2, and P1. It's all listed there for you. So before you get through the book, you'll find out that I've got the individual days blocked out for you to use. All right, so the F4 says insert data into the cash forecasting model, and that's what we talked about. All right, then we look at F5, Foundation 5. Build a listing presentation. Well, where do I go to find the listing presentation? Jay showed that to you this morning. You go into what? Executive Access, the new one, right? And you go into what? Free downloads. It's on the left-hand column. There's a column over there on the left-hand side, and you just scroll down. It says free downloads. You click on that, and then all of a sudden this thing comes out, and there's a regular listing presentation for medium-priced properties. Then there's a high-end presentation. For what? The upper end. So you have a choice of downloading one of the both. It's also available on what? iPad? Did you notice that when Jay went through it? I don't know if you saw that, but it had the word iPad. I mean, we're right at the cutting edge to where if you're giving presentations off of your iPad, it's there for you to download. Whether it's a Mac or whether it's whatever you got. It'll match whatever is out there in the marketplace. So we need you to build a listing presentation. So the reason I put the RealtyExecutives.com URL in there is well, that's where you go to find it. Now you go to the new Executive Access. And you remember how we showed you how to do that? You know, right above where you used to, there's a place where you log in, and then you put in what? Your regular email address for Realty Executives and your normal password, and boom, you're in. And then you have that free presentation. Now, you have to build it. So you download it, you get it ready, and then F6 says, locate and review 2 examples of a listing presentation. Well, I've got some for you. Let me show you where they are. All right, we're going to go in the old website to show you where they are, because the new website is not going to have Knowledge Point. We're going to have it available on our website when they shift and upgrade. And we go to Training and Education on the old site, and you'll see Knowledge Point over here, and we'll click on it. And then you have to come down to the logo to click on it. Now this is going to go away, but we're going to capture what we've provided in training that has been online. I'm going to my library, and that's where it's all located. As we're filming this one, we filmed others that we've done. And so you can grab these now and download them into the library and take a look at them. But I've got 2 listing presentations that I've actually role-played. And then I have a 3rd presentation on why did I say what I said during the presentation. So it doesn't matter if it's an old presentation or whether it's a new presentation. It's not the film or the slide. What is important is how you communicate to the seller. And also in here is a section on prospecting, and there's 53 different ways that you can prospect for business, and that's in there. There's a session in there on how to overcome objections. So, you know, if it's been a while since you've had a chance to engage face-to-face with someone, you may want to look at the objection session. So there's a number of videos that we've done here for you. These are films that you can use, and I'll be relating to these as we go through it. And the place you find it is at realtyexecutives.com. Go into the old website. When we get here, it says locate and review 2 listing presentations. That's where you can take a look at these 2 presentations and say, okay, here's an idea that I didn't know about it, or here's a way I can present this that I've never presented before. And you can take the wording and overlay the existing listing presentation that they have available for you. Then you should practice your presentation. I'd hate to have you build it and then go out and use it for the first time and what? Really get caught. So why not find somebody in the office and say, do you mind if I just give this to you and tell me what you think? Or you can give it to Debbie and Frank, or Bill, in your case, you know, as your company grows, say, you're right, it's important that you have a presentation to understand the importance of it, and modify it for the Naples market so that it has impact and power for the Naples market. And then the next one says, build a listing packet. Some of you have already done that, but if you haven't done that, you need to do that. The next one is select an area to farm. And you know, we got away from that. How many people have a farm right now? Okay, Bill does. We need to go back. Does it work? Bill's saying, yes, it does work. We need to carve out a particular area that we're going to cultivate a relationship with, right? And begin to generate business off that. Well, you know, maybe we did that in the past. Maybe we quit doing it. Well, why not include that? So that's in the calendar as you move along. When you get to F9, that'll be in there somewhere. And I recommend 100 homes. You may want to go less than that, or you may want to do more than that. But what am I supposed to do with those 100 homes? During the time that I'm farming that area, I need to get out and meet the people that's in that area. And the one thing I want from them is what? There's only one thing I want from them. Okay, let's back up before we get to the referral. Liz, what is the one? I want their email address. Because of what? The executive edge that we talked about, where the drip marketing begins to go in. If I'm going to farm this area, in the old days, what we used to do, collect addresses and what? Mail stuff to them? Well, that's expensive. How much now does it cost to mail a postcard? Is it 38 cents? Something like that? It's a big number. Well, you know, you mail out what? A couple of hundred of those, and you're talking about some money. So, you know, instead of, you know, it's $38 a 100, so it'd be $76 for 200. That's a lot. That's a lot of money when you can do it for what? Free? And you've got all the postcards made up, you've got all the mailers made up, you've got everything you need. All you got to do is insert the stuff that you want to put in there. And especially if you just listed a house in that farm area, wouldn't it be great to notify all 100 of them, or 175 of them, or 200 of them, right? Like that. Because you're using Executive Edge, you can get the word out. So that's why that's important, that you carve off an area, get serious about this business, carve off an area, not serve all the market all the time and hope something happens, but you do serve the whole market, don't misunderstand, but the part of it is what? The part of it is I want to do what Bill does, which is out of the whole Naples market, there's a section I want to focus on and concentrate on. If the other comes in, that's great, but here's where I want to generate my bread and butter. All right, and then the next one. We need to sign up for the mobile marketing, and I just threw the picture of the tag in there. We saw that earlier. And then the next thing, F11, I encourage you to do a YouTube video of yourself. Did you notice when you downloaded what Jay showed you this morning of the house in North Carolina, that if you scroll down to the bottom, there was a picture of Paula and myself, my wife and myself. Right below that, it said what? YouTube video. If you still have that on your phone, go back and get it, and click on it and listen to what I have to say. What I talked about was two things. Now think about the people that you're talking to, whether it's in the Villages or Naples or Greensboro, North Carolina, or Melbourne. There's two things I talk about. One is my mission statement, and the other is my vision statement. Why do I do that? Why do I talk about those particular two aspects? Because either they're retired and they came from a corporation that what? Had that on the wall, or they're working for a corporation right now and it's on the wall, or it's in a manual somewhere. Now, why is it important that we communicate what our mission and vision statement is to a prospective customer? What's the benefit of that? Pat, throw something back. Yeah, there's credibility, immediate credibility, because you're looking at the marketing of that property as a business, not as what? Some emotional attachment or something or other. And, you know, we try to, executive is the term, we're trying to elevate it up to the level of executive. It's so important that you do that video. That video, you can hook it where? Where can you put that? You can put it on YouTube. You can put it on what? LinkedIn. You can put it on what? Facebook. You can put it where else? Do you know that you can put a tag on that? You can link that to a tag, and you can put the tag on the back of your card, and they can hit that thing, and the next thing they know, they're hearing your mission and vision statement. Mine lasts 1 minute and 17 seconds. It's probably too long because I spoke slower. Well, I want to be able for people to hear it, you know. So I took my time working through it. But the key point is there, they get to see me. I'm dressed up, right? I'm sitting at my desk. I look professional, and I have this very short video. And later, if we have time, I'll show it to you. But I was going to show it on here, but I just don't have time. All right, and then you create your own mission statement. If you don't like yours, look at mine, and it might give you an idea. All right, and so you can get mine on Realty. If you go to realtyexecutives.com, go up to the button that says Executives, click on that, put in my last name, Durkee. Two of us will show up. Down at the bottom, underneath my name is what? YouTube, right? Click on that, it's going to run. So and then create a, now, what is the difference between a regular Facebook and a professional Facebook page? What's the difference? But it's important that we do what? We leverage ourselves as through every mean possible. And what's the charge for Facebook? Nothing. So why not use it, right? You always say, well, it's a waste of time. I don't know if I get anything off of it. We just never know. Somebody may be out cruising around and bam, they see that and they see some of the listings you have. You know what I also include in there? Just takes one. But another thing, Jim, what if you've been asking your past customers, tell me what you think of me. And you know the good ones, you do what? You put on your Facebook. Right? You don't put the bad ones on, you put the good ones on, right? So that way you can have some testimonials on your Facebook page. So if somebody's going through it, oh, he's in real estate, guys, some pretty neat listings. You say, wow, Billy Bob really likes Jim. That's neat. You know, so, all right, next. 14, review and fine-tune your executive profile and executive access. Now, the executive profile and executive access is real important. It's interesting, the same picture I use here is the same picture I use on my U page or my web page with Realty Executives, and it's also the same picture that I use with Executive Edge. I use it consistently all the way across. It's not one of those front shots of me by myself. I wanted to include my wife in the picture, and the reason I do that is I want to show that I'm a human being. I'm not just in real estate. That she's not in the business with me, but it's important that we show that we're relational and that you know, we care, and so your picture would show that, however that would look. You need to tell people about you. Our passion is to enable entrepreneurs to meet or exceed their expectations in building the real estate business. I'm talking about it as a master franchisor, okay? But you would say something maybe a little differently. And then you go on down and talk about our desires to respond to the needs with outstanding support upon your request. And then contact me, about me, and so on. Yours, you'd have other areas of expertise, and you'd have additional information down here. But this is where the YouTube is, and the Facebook link, and so on. But that's a free web page. I can go in here and click an area, and you're going to find what? Folks that didn't upload their picture. Folks that didn't fill out this page. And yet, it's very important that you use every aspect of this you possibly can. How long does it take to fill this out? You go into Executive Access, you go under You, and there's a few little blanks you fill in, and you just fill them in, click Save, and it's done. Where did we leave off? Now, Please review how to present the listing presentation. Again, that was the film under Knowledge Point, right? You can go into Knowledge Point, you can say that, and okay, now why does he say what he says? Let me go through that. Aha, there's an idea. You know, if we look at something, get one idea out of it that we execute, it was worthwhile, wasn't it? And it doesn't take that long to look at it. You might get 2 or 3 ideas. I grew up under the old school of selling a long time ago, and it works today. You know, with all the bells and whistles that we have, you're nodding your head like you know what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter what the bells and whistles are. What are we talking about? Basic sales skills. And that's what we try to present in this, right? Yeah, person to person, exactly right, Pat. Person to person, what we do. Okay, the next one is prospecting lesson. Now, we're saying, well, where am I going to get my business from? How am I going to grow this thing? Well, then go in and take a look at the film on prospecting, and it'll give that to you. And then, okay, I'm a little rusty on my handling objections, so go in and take a look at the film on overcoming objections. And then the next thing in Executive Access, go to Executive Edge and sign up for the program. Now, Jay talked about Executive Edge today. Boy, you know, one of the things he didn't show you in there was the marketing emotion that's in Executive Edge. How many are familiar with marketing emotion? Just a handful? This is great, marketing emotion. It allows you, like in the villages, if there's a particular area of the villages that you want to highlight, you can do a film in motion with still pictures with music behind it that is very strong, and you can send that out to all kinds of people all over the place. Like if it's Ohio that you're looking for, Liz, you can then email this video up to them. They can click on it and see this video of what's going on in the villages, different from the villages advertising. See what I'm saying? You know, if it's the villages advertising, who do they come to? Them. If it's you advertising the villages, they come to you. Same thing with Naples. You know, most of your folks are from Canada, aren't they? Well, we have a tremendous relationship with the Canadians. You know, I would encourage you all to build a relationship with the companies that are up there in Canada from the areas that your people are coming from, and then do a video for that particular area and link it up there and let them promote that for you, or they'll tell you where you need to send it and you can send it up there. I mean, it's a great idea to do. Next is in Executive Access, go to Executive Edge and set up a group for email addresses collected from prospecting at random. Now, we talked about our farm, right? And so if I can set a goal of going into my farm area every day for 15 or 20 minutes and see if anybody's home, introduce myself, and get an email, I can take that email and I can load that into Executive Edge. There are other ways that I can collect emails, and we'll talk about that later. But I should be building my email base. And Jay mentioned earlier today, he says, you know, you build it by groups. Which kind of group is this? Which kind of group is that? And start building the emails into that group. And then go to the mobile marketing part and place your listings. Or what? What if I don't have a lot of listings? Mary, you just hire a brand new person, they don't have any listings, and yet they want to start to market themselves. Would you allow them to build a tag on your listing to help them get started? Yeah, Mary's saying yes, I'd be willing to do that. Debbie, you say, yeah, I'll do that too. Yeah, okay, I'm new with the company, don't have any listings, so listen, I've got a handful here, I've got some tags. This tag is going to be directed to you so you can handle the leads that are coming off of it. Now, they give you that ability. They give you that you get the call, and so does one other person. Maybe we didn't talk about that and how it works, but that allows you then to give that to somebody else. They get the contact, and you do too, and guess what? If they don't make contact with them, you can let them know about it. Right? Yeah. So that's available. So I would do that. I would begin to market myself whether I have listings or not. So as a brand new person coming into the business, or I've been in business with somebody else and I'm coming over and I don't have any inventory, this is the way to get me started right now. Gives me a head start on it. And then the next thing is Executive Access, sign up for website marketing, which includes customer relationship management. All right, I need to sign up for the website. It's important because that website, as we get the IDX solutions linked between your market and international, folks around the world will be able to look at your listings right in your local market. And we're in the process of going through what we need to do to get each market to where they're uploading to the international system. So that'll work. And of course, from that, you get your leads and your drip marketing and your listing alerts and all that. And of course, you want to link all that to the social media. One of the things that Jay showed this morning, which I saw most of you glass over on, and the reason you did was the print was so small you couldn't read it. But he showed you a number of screens. You may have said after a while, there's too many screens there for me to mess with this. But that's not true because the time it takes you to load the information in there and get it done and get it over with is not that long. And that's one of the things we didn't cover this morning, maybe in enough detail. What this does for you is enable you to have a full functioning dashboard that you can hook anything to. And you need to have a place where you can go where everything is handled and handled well. And so that dashboard they have on executive access is real important. So I would encourage you to go in and begin to fill the stuff out and begin to have it to where all your preferences are in place. And then 22, the prospecting lesson, please review the script on for sale by owner. In prospecting, there's an actual script on for sale by owner. What do you say when you talk to them? What do you say? I mean, you can make it up, but I'll give you a script, and then you can listen to I mean, it's real simple. You tap on the door. They come to the door, say, "Hi, I'm Ken Durkee with Realty Executives Naples, and I notice you have a sign in the yard. Is the house still for sale?" Well, yes, it is. Well, let me ask you a question. If I brought you a ready, willing, and able buyer, would you pay me a commission? Well, what do you mean? Well, you explain that. And oh, by the way, before I want to bring a buyer, I would like to preview the house if you don't mind. Wouldn't it be convenient for me to come back and preview the house? Oh, well, if you need to preview the house, why don't you come back tomorrow? Great, I'll do that. You come back the next day to preview the house, and now you're in the house for what? Who knows? 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and what are you doing as you're previewing the house? That's absolutely right. You're building that relationship and that rapport. And let's say that those folks have been thinking about going with a realtor and they just haven't done it. And all of a sudden you come in and start building rapport, you show you have interest, and you're not afraid to go tap on the door because you have a little script you use. Well, the next one says what? Go to prospecting and review the expired listing script. How many people love to chew tinfoil? That's working with expired listings, isn't it? Right? Because they've had what kind of experience, Milford? Bad experience, right? Well, there's a psychology to this, and a lot of us don't know what the psychology is. We're used to wanting to work with warm, fuzzy people to help them find nice, warm, comfortable homes, and they'll love us for it. Is that right? We don't want to have conflict. Well, when you call or talk to an expired listing, the first thing that's going to come out of their mouth is what? Milford, you probably talked to some. What do they say?
All realtors are terrible.
That's right. They're horrible. They're just terrible. I had a bad experience. Oh, really? Can you tell me about your bad experience? Well, you begin to ask questions, and the script talks about that. What questions do you ask to cause the people to do what? To vent to where the anger does what? Subside, so you can have a communication. And a lot of people are afraid to call, but you can use the script, you can go through that, and then they'll say, well, this wasn't that bad as an agent. Gee, that wasn't bad at all. I got to know them, and they said, let me ask you a question. Have you ever shopped at Walmart? A lot of times they'll say, what? Yes, I have. Have you ever had one of the people on the floor not pay you the time of day, and you got upset? Are you going to blame the whole company for the one person you had a problem with? Well, don't blame our industry for the problem that you had with the one person that was trying to market your property. You know, there's some people out there that can really do well, and what I'd like to do is be able to share with you what I do, and then you can either hire or fire me. Now, and that's another thing in the listing presentation. One of the things I talk about is I'm not here to take a listing, because that means I'm taking something from you. What I'm here to do is share with you my marketing plan, and at the end of that, if you like it, I'd like you to hire me. If you don't want to hire me, then that's okay. But I hope by the time we get to the end of this that you'll be willing to hire me. Well, by the time I get to the end of the presentation, they want to hire me, because they see a professional presentation, they see a person that's on top of what's going on, and they like the relationship that I'm building, and I'm leveling with them and everything, including the price. You know, there's an objection in the path where he talks about, well, Billy Bob down the street, he'll sell it for $250,000. You tell me it's only worth about $200 based on the CMA. Said yes, he would probably say that to do what? To buy the listing so he can have a sign out in the yard. I'm not here to do that. I'm here to help market your property and get you out of it as soon as possible. Tell me which one would you rather have? Somebody that's trying to purchase your listing by inflating the price, or do you want somebody that's going to market your property at the price it's worth? Well, how do you know it's worth the $200,000? Because I've already given you a printout here of everything that's sold in the last 90 days, and based on your square footage and the location of where you are in this particular area, this is the range that this property goes in. It looks like it's between 185 and 225. And that's the range. Now, we can talk about where inside that range you want to place it, but it depends on how quickly you need to get out of the house. If you need to get out of the house in a hurry, we need to place it near the bottom part of the range. If you got time, then you can place it near the top of the range. But whatever you do, you don't place it outside that range because you don't want it to be outside the trigger point of the property. They go, what? Trigger point. Trigger point is where, what? A consumer is willing to do what? Talk. So you can price it wherever you want because you own the property, but if you price it outside the trigger point, you're going to be in the house longer than you planned, and you're probably going to have expenses on that house that you're not going to be able to recoup. You get a feel for what is in there for you to take a look at and to listen to. You can use this if you want to. You can reject it if you want to, but it's there for you if you'd like to see it. Okay? And then the next one is continue to place listings in the mobile marketing. That's either be your listings or it can be someone else's. And then the next one is please review how to go about building relationships. Again, the building relationship part is so important, and to do that. All right, now if you take a look at the next piece, which is passive in your book, the first one is in Executive Access, go to Executive Edge under the Marketing tab and select the items that you'll put into your email campaign. Set up a campaign. So up to now we haven't set the campaign up, and now we can set the campaign up because we have what? What have we done in our market area, in our farm? We've collected what? At least a handful of emails. So now I'm going to start a program to at least get something out to those emails, so I'll start now. And as I add more emails in, I'll add them into the program. And if the program is a year-long program, if I add 5 in this week and 3 in next week and 3 after the next, it doesn't matter because the program is what? An annual program? You can keep adding them because it's running. They just don't get the old ones, they get the next one coming out. Order yard signs based on anticipated listings. How do I know how many listings that I need to order yard signs for? If I go back to the cash forecasting model where I have the budget, and then I load in the data, it'll tell me how many listings I need to have, right? Therefore, that's how many signs I need to order. See how that connects? I'm just not going to order 25 signs and hope that'll do it for me. I need to order the amount of signs I need to generate the revenue that I want that meets not only my basic expenses, but also the profit or the reserves or the excess cash that I want to have. All right, and then assign codes to each of the listings or marketing outlets and other sign writers with the phone. Now, the code is what the code we're talking about in mobile marketing. Remember there was that little code, 51606 is the one I had for the property you saw on your phone that was mine? All right, assign the code to that. And then build the tag information. And then in Executive Edge, select the type of executive level flyers you wish for your listings. Jay showed you some of those executive level flyers. It was a beautiful blue. If you'd gotten up closer, you would have seen marbling in it. This is great for the upper end of Naples. It's great for the upper end of any market. It's marbling. One of the ones he showed, you saw 2 of them side by side. You might not have known that one was the front and one was the back. It's a 2-sided brochure. It's absolutely beautiful. So you need to start selecting the brochures that you want to have for your properties. Sure, there's hundreds of them out there, but I'm saying go pick 1 or 2. So when you get properties in, you fill in these templates. These are your templates, the ones you like. It's got the data already built up. All you do is insert the picture and some words about the property. Now that brochure will be your signature brochure because it could be this property or that property, the other property, but the template stays the same and that's your signature based on the type you like. But you need to pick one. So you go in Executive Edge and you pick one. And number 5, in Executive Edge, review how Marketing Emotion works and select with properties. But Marketing Emotion is great because if you do a property with Marketing Emotion, then you can show that in every presentation you have how you're going to be able to do this virtual tour of their property and how it's going to show up. And it's really good. And then Sphere of Influence, list of family and friends to receive the Executive Edge mail marketing. So we were talking about Pat's Farm. That's number 1 group. Number 2 group is what? Sphere of Influence. Number 3 group is what? Family and friends. It could be a church group. It could be whatever. Your bowling team. And then number 7 is develop an open house piece of literature to hand out to 25 homeowners in the area where the listing is marketed. You're now beginning to get to the point to where you might be generating what? Leads off of the mobile marketing tag that's on that sign. All right, now let's say you get one under contract. We may be far enough along that we can do what? Begin to prepare a piece to get to at least 25 people around that house. Do you remember the old school, what they used to teach us, Frank? Do you remember that? If you got the listing, you do what? You do 5 on either side, right? And what? 15 across the street. You do 25 minimum contacts to let your people know. We don't do that anymore, do we? But we used to do that. We used to provide that level of... So if we're not doing it, guess what our competition's not doing? It's the same thing, isn't it? They're out there and they're not promoting the... We want to get you guys to really thrive during 2013. We want you to really grow your business. So what I'm trying to do is show you areas where you can do that, avenues where you can be successful, pieces that help you to be prosperous. And then an open house piece, because by now, if you're getting inventory, you should be able to do an open house, and you need to prepare a piece for that, and they have the stuff for that. On the active side, this is where you'll probably get shut down, because everything up to here was not threatening. But from here on is where it gets threatening. The first one is collect at random 5 new email addresses and load them into my drip campaign. Well, we've already talked about trying to build relationships in the farm area. That's not too threatening. But I'm standing at Walmart and the person in front of me is getting ready to check out and I tap him on the shoulder and say, hi, can I ask you a question? My name's Ken Durkee and I'm with Realty Executives. You know, here in this particular market, housing is really struggling and a lot of people are wondering whether or not the value of their property is going to go down, state level, or going to increase. You know, I put out a little monthly newsletter every month talking about this particular market, and I was wondering if you'd like to have me email that to you. There's no cost, no obligation. You can delete and unsubscribe if you'd like, but if you'd like to know what's going on in your market with real estate, I'd love to help you with that. May I have your email address? What if, let me run the numbers. What if you get 7 out of 10 to give you the email address? What if? All right. Now let's back it down even further. Let's say that I do this 4 days a week, not 5 days a week like the calendar says. What if you do this 4 days a week to where you collect 5 emails a day for 4 days? That's how many emails in a week? 20? 4 weeks to a month, that's what? 20 times 4 is 80. Times 10 months, not a full year, because it takes some time off, 800 emails. All right? What if 3% want to do business with you in a year? 3%. 3%, you know that's a real number. That's not a makeup. That's a real number. 3% of 800 is what? 24. What's your average commission? 10,000. How much is that? 240,000. I would think that I could talk to somebody that's making $60,000 a year to come to work for me because I'm going to show him how to make $240,000 in a year off of one program, not all of them, but off of one. Well, okay, I know I'm going to make, well, let's say it's less than that. What if you make $3,000 commission? What's 3 times 74? Oh, excuse me, 3 times 24, 72. So it'd be what? $72,000. If I did that, if I worked on that, my average commission was $3,000, I could make over to $70,000 a year just because I do one thing 4 days a week. 10 months out of the year. Now, am I all wet? Do you hear me? All right? Okay, Ken, I like what you're saying, but I ain't going to do it. Right? Yeah, it works. I am serious. If you have the willingness to go out into the marketplace, and it doesn't matter where you are, just if you see somebody, it doesn't have to be anybody you know. The ones you know, they'd be great to get theirs, but the ones you don't know, just ask and see if they give it to you. If they'll give it to you, you put that into the I don't know who these are list, but I'm going to send them an email. And I'm going to send an email about this market and what's going on in this market, and they're going to see that I am doing that when nobody else is doing it. And through that, if they decide to sell later on, they're going to call me. Why? Because now that's not the only one they're going to get. In the middle of the month, they're going to get what? A little ditty about something else. But once a month, they get that piece from me on the market. And it's dressed up and it's nice. And matter of fact, Executive Edge allows you to build that piece, insert it in, and then they'll send it out on their system. The great thing about Executive Edge is that each piece looks like it was sent personally. You know how you've seen this thing where you get everybody's address? Yeah. No. It's a personal one. It doesn't say what? Undisclosed list, right? No. It looks like that's a personal to them, so that's why it's so neat. Seek out a for sale owner and use that script. Remember I asked you to what? Memorize the script? Now I'm going to tell you to do what? Go out and tap on the door. Expired listing. I'm going to find out a listing that's expired. What am I going to do? Go out. Why am I tapping on the door instead of going to make a phone call? Yeah, they'll hang up on you. It's better just go ahead and talk to them. But you can call them. Preview 5 homes of your competition's listings today. Now, I don't ask you to do that every day. I ask you to do that once a week. Why is it important? Not your listings. Why are you going to see somebody else's listings and preview them? Now, you're allowed to do that, right? You're allowed to preview your competitors' listings. Why are you doing that? No, hope the seller will be home. Hope the seller will be home. And as you walk through, you begin to talk to them about what you're doing in the business. And all of a sudden, they begin to like you better than the person that they're with. Frank, what are you laughing at? Come on now. Think with me, outside the box. Right? I got nothing to do today. What am I supposed to do? Let me get this thing out here. Let me see. I'm supposed to do, oh no, number A4. Gee whiz. Okay, who am I? I've got to go see 5 listings that somebody else has. Doesn't have to be one person, be different people, right? So you go out and you see 5, and neat. Out of the 5, one of the sellers says, you know, my listing's going to expire here in a couple of weeks. I said, ma'am, I can't talk to you about that now, but after it expires, why don't we get together? When can I call you? Go ahead, Ann. Actually,
Our new North Carolina contract says that we can list the house before it expires.
oh, all right, North Carolina, she says that you can list the house, the document, and post date it before it expires. But what I'm saying is you're not crossing the sign by doing what? Previewing the property. You're getting to do what? Meet the people. You're doing something your competition is not doing. You're getting out there in the marketplace, and all of a sudden, you're attracting business to you because you're doing what? Building relationships, which one of those little films that I talked about gets you ready to build relationships. Past customers, need to contact 5 of those. If I don't have any past customers, you skip 5. 6, contact 5 people from your sphere of influence and ask them about business. You know, gosh, the stories I could tell you about folks that have said what? Gee, I didn't know you're still in the business. Oh, you didn't? I thought you knows it. No. I thought you died. Yeah. Right? But this is what? Oh, no, that's not it. That's not true. And then the next one, the last one is contact 5 homeowners from your farm and ask them for email addresses. That's one that we need to do on a regular basis. So that means that over time, I'll have, 100 emails on my farm. Over time, I'll have 500 or 600 emails from people I just met. And through that, I'm going to build a very thriving and growing business. Now, in the closing statement here, if you look at the back of it, you'll see that I've got them clustered for you. Week 1, Monday, it shows you all 3. Week 1, Tuesday, it shows you the 1. Week 1, Wednesday, it shows you exactly what to do. And it's all laid out for you. If you will persevere, if you will persevere, if you will persevere, you will make it happen. Comments or questions?
How do you make them do it?
You know, that's a great question. I come to you, Debbie, and say, Debbie, I saw the seminar and I'd really like to do this, but I don't have the guts to manage this thing. Will you do this? Will you hold me accountable for this? Even though I'm an independent contractor, I'm giving you permission to hold me accountable. And Debbie says, I don't have a lot of time for this, but yeah, I will do that. Okay? That means at the end of the day, you call them. Did you do P2 today? Or what? F5 or A3 or whatever it is on the calendar. Because you'll give you a copy of the calendar. Show me where you are. Okay, here's where you are. I'll call you tomorrow and see if you got it done. Now, since you can't hold yourself accountable, you've got what? Bill, you're holding them accountable. There's no license. There's no contract. You're not going to get worried with the IRS. Everything's going to be fine because they gave you permission to do what? Look over their shoulder and hold them accountable. So, yeah, it is possible to have that relationship because if somebody feels they can't do it on their own, great question. I didn't give that to you ahead of time, did I? No, I didn't. But that's a perfect question to ask. What if they won't do that? You say, would you like to do that? And if you will, why don't we develop a relationship as broker owner and executive to where I'll hold you accountable. Okay?